Mhm. Oh, you know what? I think I gotta take these off. Hold on. Hope they turn off. Yep. Let's get the thing and put them in, because then they'll turn off. Can y'all hear me okay? I don't know who's on. We'll see. Live chat. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Let me make sure the Bluetooth is off, y'all. The Bluetooth is off. We'll give it a few minutes, about 5 minutes. Let me lower this a little bit. Okay. I'll lower that a little bit. Whew, y'all. Fluffy grandma is tired. Um, I got up a little early. I went out and I'll just talk right now for about 5 minutes and then I'll talk about the subject. Regardless of anybody in here or not, I'm going to talk because it's a topic I feel led to talk about. But I got up early this morning, well, early for me. Tanya, what's up, baby? Jay, my brother in Christ, how you doing? I'm good. I went out and hung out. I turned 55 on Monday, guys. So I went and hung out with Joe and Linda. I got a free birthday breakfast at Nikki. Okay, I gotta check on her. That's one of my truck driver friends just sent me a message. But and hopefully she'll watch this because some of this I'm hoping to bless a lot of people. This is gonna be I've been dealing with the heavy stuff, but this is gonna be the blessings out of the heavy stuff. We're gonna talk about that in this video. But I went and hung out with Joe and Linda. Victoria couldn't come. I got a free birthday meal. We got a place here called Spaghetti Factory, Company Factory, whatever, same thing. And the oldest one is here. Thank you, Miss Tanya. The oldest one here is in Phoenix, just down, I mean, literally like 3 minutes from my house. And so we went there. They gave me a free birthday meal. And then I went ahead and bought something else because I wanted to try it. And I'm pissed off I did because it cost me like 20 some bucks, which I wouldn't have done it again. They gave me like a classic pasta meal, which was okay. You could do what they call potpourri, which is all of the sauces on spaghetti sauce, on spaghetti. So I did that one. Um, it was okay. It was okay. It was okay. Normally when I go there, I get I get lasagna because I like lasagna. Lasagna manicotti, and I make a mean manicotti. Um, but I like manicotti. Lasagna are probably my two top Italian dishes that I like. It was okay. I mean, the classic meal was like a classic spaghetti, and then you can choose sauces, or you can try all of them. All the sauces were good, but they had something I wanted to try, which I found on their menu that I had never seen, which was it's a lobster crab ravioli stuffed, and it had a Alfredo pesto sauce on it, which was good. But for the amount of ravioli I got and for the amount of crab in the ravioli, it wasn't worth the money. So, but I tried it. Shannon, you would go down on tube to go see the Titanic with the chance you might never return. Hold on, Shannon, would you go down on the tube to go down see the Titanic? Yeah, bro, that's not me. So, and I keep that in mind. I'm gonna come back to it real quick. I'll come back to it. So I'm gonna talk about it. Give me a minute, and then I'll get into the last subject. But so it was okay. Joe got he got like a chicken it was a piece of chicken with mushroom and something else. I forgot what it was. Chicken something. Anyway, that was actually better. Wouldn't be a dish I got. It was good. And then Linda's a very traditional kind of person. She's very finicky. Victoria more finicky than Linda. One day I'm gonna see if they're okay with me filming. We'll go out for dinner and I'll film everybody. But Linda got something with marinara, but her marinara, not marinara, Alfredo sauce, but she said it didn't have no flavor. So then I let her taste mine, and she said, "Oh, that's good." So we had a brother who was serving us, and he was really good. His name was Dallas. Dallas was bomb. And so he did a really good job, and he brought out two different sauces for her. He's like, "I got you, sis." And he went back. He said, "I got some other." So he came out with the same sauce I had, and then a garlic Alfredo sauce. And she said, "Now we're working with something." So they're good. And then it's like you get a 3 course meal. So you get the pasta, you get a salad or soup, and then you get ice cream. You get a little ice cream at the end. So it's like a 3 course meal. You get your, basically your salad, your pasta, and then the dessert. And the dessert's like a little cup of, you can do spumoni or you can do vanilla, whichever. So we did that and we chilled out. And then Joe and I went, this is my favorite coffee spot for quick coffee. I'm a Dutch Brothers fan. I know a lot of people like Starbucks. I think Starbucks is okay. I think Starbucks is way overrated. I am a Dutch Brothers fan. Dutch Brothers, to me, I get more bang for my buck with Dutch Brothers than I do anywhere else. But I like Dutch Brothers here in Arizona. So we went there and got that, and then I came home. So I'm tired. When I get done, I'm going to clean. But I said, well, I'm going to chime in and check in with everybody. Okay. The sub, I'm going to jump over to the sub thing. So let me first describe me. I can swim. I learned to swim at the Y when I was young. My mother put me in a camp, and I went to the Y down here in Phoenix. That's where I learned. I did karate and swimming. They did a summer camp. So I can swim. That's not a problem. Even as fat as I am today, it's probably what I need to do to lose weight. I need to get in the pool and just freaking swim and do aerobic exercises. And a friend of mine, Linda, said that the park here, not too far from my house, one of her girlfriends who doesn't work but takes care of her mom, she just joined a water aerobics class at this park down the street from my house. Okay. It's called Encano Park. And they're down the street. Matter of fact, the pervy stepfather, we used to go there when I was a kid, and they had a train ride we would do. Actually, I saw a picture of that. Sorry, my nails are peeling. I need to go get my nails done. And it was peeling to drive me nuts. So, they have a pool there, and I can't remember if we ever went swimming, because we used to go to swimming pools because I like to swim, and we didn't have one at the house, so we would go to the parks and you go to the public pools. So I like swimming. However, when I go to a beach, I don't jack with that water. It is too massive for me. To me, that is overwhelming. I don't even know if I've even put my feet in the water. I'll sit on the beach, but I don't even know, like, how people go out there and swim and wade in no, that bothers. It's just too massive. To me, it's like, that's going to suck me out and I'm dead as a doorknob. Yes, I love Jesus, but I ain't trying to get there. I ain't trying to get there fast. Woo! I've been talking to the Lord about trying to be here for the rapture because I think it's not too far away. But I'm not trying to get to the casket. No, I'm not. I am not. So going down in a submersible to go see the Titanic, but no offense to those who are Anglo. There's certain, well, I can't say that. In my day, I can't talk to this younger generation because black folks now, young, y'all different. But my generation, there's just some shiznit we just did not do. And nope, I don't think there was a black person on that damn sub. Oh, baby, there's some stuff we just don't do. We don't do. Now, the newer generation, them 40 and unders, they might. My generation and older, there's just some stuff we just did not do. And there's just stuff we don't do. We're doing a lot more now, but there's stuff we didn't. No, ma'am, no, sir. We did not do that. So going down in the submersible, I cannot. Yeah, Tanya, right here. I cannot. I literally, I can't. No, there's just some stuff we do not do. So for me, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do, no. No, ma'am, no, sir. No. Car update. Y'all pray. I'm going Wednesday. Everything go well. I've gotten a pre-approval for a car. I'm going to have to get a car. Old Man Red has way too many issues. Jay laughing at me. One day I have to show y'all Old Man Red because I don't think I've shown y'all Old Man Red. I probably should put a thumbnail up of Old Man Red. So for y'all don't know, when I got back here, because remember the kids, Monty's kids, they had a problem with me having a car. The brother, when I talked to him, was supposed to sell the car, and the money of the car was supposed to be dispersed among 5 people, which would have been me, the brother in prison, and the 3 of them. None of that ever happened, never heard from him, and I knew I was not, okay? They all had cars, those 3, okay? So when I got back here, I was like, okay, because I had talked to some friends and just married, because I was like kind of pleading. I'm like, why am I pleading with these people? I'm the oldest. I could have just took it, but I didn't want any animosity. I didn't want any. I tried to do things, in my opinion, as fair as possible. And I even tried to be protective of them from the family I knew about, because I knew Monty's family was cray cray. Okay, not all, but quite a few. I did not know about the father's side, so I didn't know about the father's side till I met them. Well, I knew one person on the father's side, but I didn't know the rest. Well, because we did have a cousin that later on I found was double keying, and she was crazy as hell. So is her daughter, who's left now, and her daughter, woo, baby, off the chain. And I understand now, you know. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, and I just dropped the keys and I walked away from it all. There also was a life insurance policy. It's only $2,000 from the railroad. They did send me the paperwork. I got it when I got back here from the funeral. I put everybody on it, including the brother in prison. I don't know what's what, because they said they were sending it to the beneficiary. I was the first one, to my knowledge, to get the information. I put all the information on there. I got my name. I put all of them on there, and the brother in prison. I hadn't heard back, so I reached out to him and said, what's going on? Because it would have, who's the beneficiary? Is it just for just knowledge information? So initially I'm told I'm beneficiary, whatever. Well, then, because they've been taking so long, we're now going into 3 years. I'm like, well, what's going on? So I reached out to Texas Insurance Commission based on a friend of mine, and they're now telling me, oh, the other kids did not list the brother in prison. So now there's some other hang up. I don't know. And like I said, and I told them in my writing, he's in Texas Correctional Facility. You can just reach out to the correctional facility. You don't need to ask them if he's related to this man. You reach out to Texas Correctional Facility and find out he's related to him. That's the only one the mother he only married was this boy who's in prison's mama. You don't need to ask them, because those three grew up together. So they're like this. All the rest of us are on the outskirts. Now the sister, she's okay. I'm not going to say, because she is Christian, but she is also still, it's about her and her brothers. That's why when she's the one I talked to, the two brothers won't even speak to me. They speak only to the sister. The only time they spoke to me was in reference to that car. That was it. By the time it was over with, it's okay. He had a dent in the back, a hole in the front. I think the ghetto cousins tried to break into the car, hoping his keys was in there to get into the apartment. So it's okay. And God will handle that, because I always found that when people do ratchet stuff, it always comes back. I'll let God deal with that and the ratchet brother and all that mess. But for me, I've distanced myself. I still take prayers from the sister, sends prayers to me, and I don't have any ill will. But for me, there's an age difference, so I think different from them. They're in their 30s. I am 55 Monday. Our thinking, our thought process, our interests are worlds apart, worlds different. And the behavior I got, even some of the things at the funeral, while I don't know if sometimes they recognize, because some people don't recognize behaviors because it's normal to them. There were some things that were done. I was like, and it's okay. I'm going to be okay. Thank you, PC. How you doing, baby? I'm going to always be okay. God has got me because he's watched over me all of my life. And as you look back, as we get older, especially there should be a point in your life, especially when you hit the 40s, God will start taking you to look back. That's why people say middle-aged crazies. Some people look back and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this crazy stuff because I didn't do it in my early years. And they go do crazy things. For me, it was becoming a truck driver. I wanted to travel. I was too fat to be a flight attendant. Trucking became the outlet. And I was tired of being in a corporate environment. So I drove a truck. Thoroughly enjoyed it. What it did tell me was, if the Lord gives me breath, if there was more time on this planet, I would like to get me a travel trailer. My favorite travel trailer would be an Airstream. However, I'm too fat right now for an Airstream. So if I can get the weight off, then I would probably get an Airstream or something. But I would like a travel trailer. I would love to travel, just drive around the country. And I'd probably do what they call an RVIC, which is a missionary type ministry where you would go to churches and help them out. Or some sort of ministry to help them out and stop in different parts of the country and find Christian organizations to assist. Well, anyway, at this point, Old Man Red, when I got back here, one of my friends that I worked with at University of Phoenix, her neighbor, who happened to be a truck driver, was selling a car that came from his father that, in my opinion, him and his brother tow up. They did a lot of janky work they own. Like, you can't even put the key in the ignition. You got a clicker to click it on and off. He ripped the box out that when you turn the key, it's supposed to do the lever and click it with. He ripped that out. It's hanging down. And you got to click the lever on and off. Initially, you could turn it off, and now all of a sudden you can't turn it off. So I have to disconnect the battery in order to make sure it don't drain the battery to get it to be off when I'm not driving it. Okay, it's janky. There was a leak underneath. I didn't know what that is, but I think it's transmission fluid. So I got transmission issues, and you even tore that out because now you got to feel. Thank God I know how to drive a stick shift. You got to feel the gears. So one of the things about being a trucker, you learn to work stuff out. Okay. So I've been doing that now for the car's over a year. I've had it for over a year. But I got transmission stuff going on. I'm not shocked if I think it might have a blown head gasket because it does have the white smoke coming out the engine. But even when I'm driving, sometimes it's not kicking into gear right. So I think the tranny is on its way out. And I'm like, I need a car. Right now here in Arizona, our weather's been like 114, 115 degrees. It's hot as hell. The windows don't roll down. The back ones kind of fall down, but you don't have no control over the windows. So when I get to work, my whole shirt is drenched, okay? And because we have had a couple of mechanical issues, I had one, a hose blew on it and was squirting out coolant. I fixed that myself. I had to go buy the hose, but I fixed it myself. Thank God for trucking. You learn to do some things on your own. But I used to work on my other Volkswagen too, but Volkswagen engines, like old 1970, 19, those are easy. It's like a lawnmower engine. And then I had it go out on me about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where the whole right front end went down and the lower ball arm went. At that point, I was like, enough. That was altogether, that cost me around $300 to get all that repaired. I had to tow it. I had to pay the mechanic guy. I had to go get the part. So we're looking at around $300. Okay. And I had to have some help because I didn't have that cash readily available. Because again, I've been paying stuff down and paying people back. So at this point, I finally just got home and I said, you need a car. You need a car. This is just point blank. I had to assess my finances. I don't pay very much. Like a lot of people, they're paying rents of $1,400, $1,500. Matter of fact, my friend Joe, his nephew dropped out of school, and him and the girlfriend came back, and they went and got like some $2,200 a month apartment, which is insanity. But they got this nice apartment, and they doing all sorts of stuff. But anyway, and it's young kids, and that's a huge bill. Okay, I don't have that. My rent is $760 a month. So I'm like, you can afford, something under $400 a month. You got to do what you got to do. And I'm still doing the chapter 7, but I don't know if we can keep this out of it or if I have to include it later. I'm not worried about it. We'll figure that out. But right now I need reliable transportation until I pay off the rest of my tax stuff as far as filings. And then I'll cross that bridge. But for now, we got to get a car. So I actually, I do have a credit card with a particular company. And they also do, hey, Flatbed, I just started talking, baby. You good? I'm late to the party. Hope you okay where you at in the country. But they had offered it to me when I was at this other company. And I also did car loans for this other company. And so I was familiar with the fact that this particular lender worked with people whose credit might be in. And I had a credit card from them. So I was like, okay, well, I got the credit card, and I'd seen when I pay my bill that you could apply. And they've also sent me pre-approval for car loans. I just kept ignoring them. So you could apply. So, because they had an expiration date. So I applied and got approved. Now, what's crack cocaine is these ninjas approved me for a $44,000 car loan. What the Sam Hill? Who is drop? I cannot. I cannot. I'm sorry. For a car? I cannot. And especially right now in the state of Arizona, I'm watching all these people, and these folks on the road don't know how to drive. And matter of fact, we went to Dutch Brothers to get this drink. This dude in front of us, which I didn't want to go where my mind went. I'm going to leave that alone and not judge. But I kind of knew what kind of person was in the car. The back of the Tesla was toe up. And Joe said, Shannon, the front is toe up too. I said, probably some of them 40 and unders. Tanya, I cannot. I can't. So what I found, follow the bouncing, Tanya, me and you. I'm too old. And I'm not a status person. Let me say this. And I can't remember his name. When I was in trucking, there was a guy, and he's a popular truck driver, a white guy. And he got interviewed by, oh my God, what's that dude's name? It's one of the other popular black truck drivers. He irritates me, but he interviewed him, and the guy was at Prime, and I liked him because he was very logical. He talked about how he bought himself out of debt, all this other stuff, and how he got his life unpacked, and that he wasn't driving his car. He sold his car because he said, "Hey, it's just money out the door." And later on, he actually ended up making good money. I know he divorced his wife. He's remarried. He's not in trucking anymore. He's doing something with finance, as he should, because he's actually very good. When you think about his conversation, but he said something, and I was like, amen and amen and amen. And when I watched Monty, when he was in Texas and they bought that car, Monty didn't like to drive. What was his concern? Will I look pretty in the car? My buddy, I got a buddy right now. He bought $100,000 vehicle, and he's an old guy, okay? And a lot of it is, and I love him, but a lot of it is status. I want people to tell me I look good in the car. If that's you, do you. If that turns your boat on, strokes your Johnny, do you. I could give a good flying doggone what people think about what I look in a car. Me, I'm a geek in the first place. The stuff that I think is a cool car or what I do is for me. I could give a, it's like, it's like I did that video last week. What you see is what you get. You either like me or you don't. And you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm 55 years old. I done been through a hellish life from my childhood up. There's a point where I could give a doggone. Either you want to jack with me or you don't. It's the same way with me. When I meet people, I don't want to jack with you or I don't. No spilled milk. I went out with some associates, and I knew them. I knew the wife from another place. I met her new husband. We're good. I like her. She's nice. But the husband was a dick. And I was like, I'm good. We don't ever have to hang out again. I'll speak. I'll be cordial. But there's stuff about dude that just didn't sit right with me. And I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. He sat at the table the whole time he met with our group with sunglasses on. He lied about stuff, which I knew was a lie because he drove trucks. But he was saying, I'm like, oh, I can't. And the stuff he lied about was weird. So I'm like, I can't jack with you. Something ain't right. So, and either you like people or you don't. And that's fine. Everybody, to me, that's how we just assess. It's not a hatred thing. You click with some folks, you don't. I don't care what people think when it comes down to the vehicle, the house I live in, the stuff I have. To me, that is a shallow person, and you need somebody to stroke your ego. Monty was a major narcissist. Grumpy, he was a narcissist, just like Trump. And they need to feel important by the crap that the lies they tell and the stuff they have. I don't need to feel important like that. Flatbed said the car been with me longer than any dude. I'm feeling the love. Flatbed, you a fool. That's funny. I'm not mad at you. That's like people like, oh, you want to, no. The only thing that's going to be living and breathing in this house with me is going to have 4 legs. It'll be a cocker spaniel, a dog of some sort. No two-legged dogs cannot enter. I'm good. And I know me. I'm too old. I'm old. I'm old and I'm tired. When you get old and tired, you're just old and tired. So I got approved for $44,000, pre-approved for $44,000. I've already sent my check over, and they said just take this letter with me to the dealership. I can choose any vehicle 2013 or newer with less than 150 or 40,000 miles, something like that. So anything from that to newer. I put in, so on their app you can put in, I don't want no down right now. I ain't got down money because I got to come up with money for just the insurance for full coverage, which is going to cost me a little bit. So because I got to come up with like 200 and something for the, and that's the only reason we're delayed, because I'm waiting for my check to come in, because I'm check to check. I've been paying folks off. So I'm personal loan stuff off. And just paying my normal bills. So I'm going Wednesday. Linda's taking me Wednesday. And y'all be praying because she's looking for a job. Well, she got an offer, but there's a whole bunch of weird stuff with that company. And I think she's going to ultimately, hopefully, end up at my company. My company will start hiring for the open enrollment of insurance, I think, in July, August. And she can come right on in. So I'm going to refer her right on in. And anybody else she know, I'm like, here, you got a referral. So, and I think she'll do better there anyway. And it's decent money for Arizona. It's decent money. And she don't have no house note. All she has is utilities, taxes, regular bills. She don't have big bills because the house is her family home that she grew up in. It's paid for. So, I got approved. It looks like for the car. The car I'm looking at, which I'm praying is still there, it's a Kia Soul. I was looking for another Scion because I love my Scion box, but I couldn't find one with the miles and the year that they're saying. So what came up was the Kia Soul. Um, I asked for payments under 400. It's like 350 or something like that. Interest rate's not good, but that's okay. My credit's not great, so I get that. But only 56,000 miles on the car and one owner, no accidents. I already looked at the Carfax. So I'm hoping that it's still available on Wednesday at the Tempe dealership that I'm going to be going to pick it up. I was going to look, if I had the cash, I would have went with a Scion because they had one Scion here. It had over 200,000 miles, but it was one owner, no accidents, and it was $4,000, but you had to do cash. They wouldn't do a loan. So I was like, cool, no problem. We'll leave that alone. It's high miles anyway. But it would be a good deal if you had the cash for it because it's a Toyota product. A Toyota engine, hell, you can go 500,000-600,000 miles with a Toyota engine. Usually, as long as it was taken care of. And from the Carfax report, you do the oil change and tune-ups, basic maintenance, and that car will last forever. So one owner, it said a lot to me. Yeah, Tanya, I'm going to get a car alarm on it. And I'm gonna go old school on their behind. I'm gonna get one of the steering wheel locks too, if they still have them, if I can order them on Amazon. And I think they have the ones where you can do the key and to the pedal. So they have to tear that car up to try to steal it. I'm gonna do that. I don't expect too much of a problem, even though my area is so. We got some people with some nice rides over here near me. And if they haven't messed with those, I doubt they'll mess with mine. This one is a 2013. It's older. It's not a newer one, so I don't know if that would attract the kids anyway. It's a 2013 Kia Soul Plus. And like I said, I think they were asking it's between 10 and 11,000 is the cost. And like I said, 56,000 miles, that's a damn good deal. Because 56,000 miles, you still got a whole nother, 44,000 miles or something like that before that car, the engine turns over one time. Because the engine turns over at 100,000 miles. So, and for me, my, okay, I didn't know about that carburetors thing, but for me, like I said, where I live, it's right here behind me. I got a lot of Latino people in my area. We all know each other. They all wave at me. Hi. One of them, I don't know, they like to have McDonald's delivered. And so the way our building's old school building. So each building has four apartments in it, but each building has a different address. Well, so there's 4 buildings. And when you come into the driveway, we would be the first building to the right. To the right of me is another building. To the right of that is another, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's 4 number 3s. My apartment number is number 3. So her number 3. So they always deliver to mine. I think it's because I'm the first building. And then if I catch them, I say, because I know it's them ordering McDonald's. They order McDonald's for delivery. And so she sees me. Because I always send them back to her house. I'm not trying to take nobody's food and stuff. But yeah. So y'all be praying because that is supposed to be Wednesday, prayerfully. Thanks to this TikTok. What on TikTok? Then these Gen Zs have nothing better to do than to mess with folks like, child, we won't talk about it. That's a whole nother conversation. Me and Linda just got about talking about them in management. Because the company she's got hired for, she was supposed to start back on the 9th. They messed up something. So then they said, oh, you're going to start on the 23rd. So then they come to her just a couple of days before the 23rd and say, oh, we can't get you in this class. So now we're going to interview you, or we're going to put you in for some other positions. And I told her, I said, my company will be signed in July or August. I said, if you have to take it for now, just get a check. But I don't know. Everything you telling me, everything about them is bad. And this is a massively big company. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of it does, unfortunately, like the one company me and her were at that I went to where she was at, and she got laid off. A lot of it is, it's just like that crazy girl from the night company. There's these youngsters, and they're crazy. And then they think they can talk to you crazy. And these companies, I guess that's what they want, is insanity. The young lady I have right now, she's as sweet as she wants to be, but she has attendance issues. Well, how are you as a supervisor who's supposed to be an example You come in late, but you feel, oh, because now you have the title, you can even, but that was something she was doing as a rep. But now that you have the title, you can continue to do that. No, baby, no. And then I guess before she got the position, she worked there before, told them she wanted to be a supervisor. They're like, no, you won't be a supervisor here because you ain't never here. And so because they wouldn't let her do what she wanted to do, she said, oh, they're bullying me. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell you say? How does that equate to bullying because they're telling you the truth that you don't come to work? But then they're so desperate for supervisors, they then give these people the positions because they have a hard time getting people. Like when we started the class at this company, they were thanking us for accepting the job, talking about, well, it's hard to get people. It's a different world. It's a different world. And now being older, so I told her, I said, I come in, I do my job. You should not have to talk to me about something. You tell me, I'm going to try to implement it. And that's how it is. Do I like her? I think she's a very sweet girl. I think she's got some deep-seated family stuff, but I think she's sweet on a certain level. I'm happy that she's doing some things to better herself because she needs counseling and she's getting it. But yeah, there are some aspects I'll be sitting here, and baby only 23, and I'll be going, But, and a lot of them, I just, and it's like, there's this mindset that they have, and I think I call it privileged. I think this younger generation is extremely, they have this entitled, privileged, and it's due to how they were raised, or better yet, not raised. Mom and daddy did everything. And I'm going to say this, and please, I know some people might get pissed off. So when we see in these things where these guys are dying, unfortunately, whether they're being killed by cops or whoever, and they calling for their mama, that says a lot to me. You are a grown man in a dangerous position, and the first thing you do is call for your mama. You don't call for Jesus. You call for your mama. That means her nipple was still in your mouth. That to me says a whole bunch. It speaks volumes. It just says a lot about them. I'm going to call for my mama. I'm sorry. It just says volumes to me. And, it just says a lot. It says a whole bunch. And my heart goes out to the situation, but that spoke volumes to me. And the new generation is very much titty-fed people. And it's their way. Their thinking is weird. Their logic is strange. I'm being bullied because you just told me the truth of the fact that what I'm doing doesn't line up with corporate etiquette. And that means I'm being bullied. If it's not my way, I'm being bullied. If it's not, and it's cultural among the 40 and unders, especially under those 30 and under. It's this justification of your crap, your bull. I'm going to justify it. And that's why I have a problem. So like that situation with the train thing, with that young man and that flipped out and went crazy on the train. It's not a black-white issue for me. I'm sorry. And that guy wasn't the only one trying to restrain this man who was cuckoo. All of a sudden, it's a racial issue, and all of a sudden we gotta, no. You attacked me on the train? It's deathly force. You try to get in my house. You made a choice. Your choice was that you decided to put your life, it's a choice. It's your life or mine. This man restrained this man from apparently flip dipping and tripping. And now all of a sudden, he was, no. I got issues. Now, I didn't witness everything, but just the description of it, I got question marks. So I see that a lot, and it bothers me. And it bothers me that we are now justifying horrid behavior, ghetto behavior, and saying, oh, it's white folks against black folks, or even if it's black on black. It's kind of like them black cops. Do I justify the level they went through with beating that boy? Absolutely not. But I am going to say this. In my humble opinion, he kind of put himself in that position. He did. Let me see what it said. Oh, my neighbor, catalytic converter, they tried to steal one out of one of his cars, set the car on fire. And they had to have the thing out here, and his car had to get towed. It sat there for a minute. They had to put a whole new fence up. Thank God he didn't burn our building down. And he said they were trying to steal the catalytic converter out of the car. And it's an old car. It was old as hell. It's old as hell. But yeah, so I see some things. Hey, Captain, what's up, baby? I'm just chin wagging right now. I haven't gotten to the subject yet. But I see some things, and like I said, the older I'm getting, the more I see it, and now I just kind of have to keep. It's just like something. It's like something wrong with them. It's like one of the girls behind me at my job. There was a supervisor who was over us when we were in training. She was in my training class, and we're on the same team now. And sweet as can be, sweet as can be. This is the logic. I got to get another job. I said, why you get another job? She's like, oh, because I need to make money. If you stay at work, you can make money. You live at home with your family, but she just gets up and leaves because what they can do is if it's dead, you can actually leave. You can take unpaid time and leave without penalty. So she takes it all the time, and then you wonder why you don't have a check. Tell me I didn't have how much of a check. My ninja, that's because you ain't here at work. Look, I can send homework to my supervisor who afford it because we can't go out to sites. We can only go to government sites because it's government based. So I can send my homework to my job and I can read. I read Bible stuff there at work because I'm obviously a theology major. I send pictures of whatever I need to read. I send myself stuff to do. And if y'all want to, during the dead time, I read. That I read. I read the White House site. I've read Senate.gov. I've read ShareAmerica.gov. I just read. Educate your mind. Sit there and let these people pay you. And granted, your call volume is not that high at the time of night after a certain portion of our shift, but make your money so you can. I'm gonna get another job. It's not even logical. It's just illogical. And so they think different. And then there was like when we were in a training, there was a supervisor. Well, I didn't like him because you know what you didn't like him? Because he addressed the fact you were doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. And if they can't do it their way, they have a problem with it. And that is the issue, is that we have a generation of people, I want to do it my way. My buddy who went and got the $100,000 car, even though he's, quote unquote, he doesn't see it. He raised two great nephews. One of the great nephews is exactly like him. So my buddy, his sister had a lot of money, which is how he came into the money. He took, he got inherited the sister's money. So his nephew, he used to brag on what his sister had. He bragged on the house. He bragged on all this stuff. And the nephew does the same thing. Well, you raised him, so he got it honest. My friend cannot see that he got it from him, okay? This nephew, very intelligent, had a full ride scholarship. I'm like $80,000 some odd dollars to go to school. Dorm, everything paid for if he wanted to, okay? Actually had a nice apartment up north, could go to school. Him and his girlfriend dropped out. Both of them had full ride scholarships. They got jobs down here, and they walked into a good job because they have family in the job, and the family set them up in management roles, which they're too young for, but I'll leave that alone. Anyway, he's making all this money. He done went and bought $900 shoes. He just went and traded the car in that my friend had given him, and went and got a $55,000, which I'm trying to figure out what kind of Kia is $55,000, y'all. But some kind of Kia sports car. He got $55,000 sports car for 40-some thousand, $800 a month payment. They think different, and it's about status. It's about name brand. It's weird. And the young lady who's over me, she's concerned. She's 23 years old. She already tore up one car because she had an accident. God forgive me. And when she told me how she's driving, I got so comfortable in my car, I drove with my foot up on the seat. What the hell you say? I mean, who drives with your foot up on the seat? I said, what? I said, what did you say? Well, and that's why your car is tore up. And it was her fault. She went to make a left-hand turn, hit somebody, and totaled out the car. And she crying over the car, and it was a lease car because she didn't have credit because she's 23 years old. And it was, I think, a Toyota Camry or something like that. Well, now she need to get another car, so she went and got some older Lexus, because again, it has to be a name. Ciao, bye. And when I told him, I like saying, ooh, that's an ugly car. I don't buy my car for you. I don't buy my car for you. And that's what I liked about with that one truck. He said, most people buy their car for other people. You don't buy it. Most people go into debt for other people. I just watch, and while my friend has, one of my associates, her boys are very good. She did this elaborate graduation party like this dude was an NBA star's son. They had tents, they had the tables, they had some decorative background. She hired a bartender, she hired a DJ. They did the whole, he laying in cash on the ground and holding money like this. It was some stuff. I just showed it to them, and they were like, it's a high school graduation? I said, yeah, I remember my high school graduation. I had a cake, I got some loot and some envelopes, and everybody said bye. That's a high school graduation in my world. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, just said, this is like it's a damn wedding. I was like, all right. Oh my God, flatbed. Let's not even talk about when I saw that. I drove both a manual and automatic. So I drove, my thing is 10.98, I think was the speeds. I can't remember. Thank you. And then I also drove automatic. And I don't know how the hell you drive with your foot up on the dash. To me, if you're that comfortable, how are you paying attention? I'm sorry. How do you make evasive moves? That's why when she said she was driving with her leg up on the seat, I was like, okay, I can't. But then based on certain things I know about what I'm seeing and driving around here, makes sense. And either that or the kids with the cell phones. Like the one dude was going so slow. I'm like, this, you gonna get hit just from impeding traffic. What he doing the whole time? He driving and looking down in between his legs. So it tells me a cell phone down there. I'm like, oh my God. They can't even walk on a sidewalk without doing this with a cell phone. It irritates the hell out of me. It is the most irritating thing ever. Anyway, let's come back to what I'm going to tell y'all. Okay. So I've been talking about all my little subjects. And I happen to have the pleasure, I actually got to hang out with my sister-in-law, which I actually like her. We all liked her a lot. Everybody, because if we left, we're like, we like them. Shannon, we really like them. And we love your sister-in-law. And your brother's funny as hell. So I got to hang out with my sister-in-law and my brother. This is the youngest one of the two that I raised from the pervy stepfather. Okay. And this is the one who just got his doctorate. So we all went to a little restaurant over here. The food is usually good, but the green beans pissed me off. Because usually that green beans was on hit. The first two times I went there, they was like, you could taste the bacon fat, you could taste the onions. But this time they weren't as good. The green beans needed work. The rest of the food was still good. I had the turkey this time. I didn't take pictures, y'all. I had the turkey this time. The picture you see from my thumbnail for this video, it is a sushi restaurant that we go to. Me and Joe usually go to here in Phoenix, not that far from my house that I really like. And that's an old picture, but I just wanted a thumbnail. I think my sister-in-law also got the turkey and dressing like I did. My brother did the roasted chicken. He said it was okay. I don't know if it's good or not. That's not something I would get there. Linda did the fried chicken, which I know that was dang good, but she even said them green beans needed work, and I was like, girl, they wasn't the same as what I usually get. Joe got the meatloaf. The meatloaf was really, really good. Very juicy, very good. I can do my meatloaf one of two ways. I can do a lean meatloaf, depending on what I'm in the mood for, or I can do a juicy meatloaf. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I do lean, it's usually a turkey meatloaf, because turkey's usually a lean meat. And then Victoria did the pot roast. Now, she complained that the pot roast was dry. I don't know what she wanted them to do. I don't know if she wanted them to soak it, because she gave me her leftover pot roast, and child, that pot roast was on hit. It was juicy, it was moist, and it was tender. And even Joe and Linda was like, that pot roast. I said, Linda was like, girl, that pot roast, I almost wanted to come. I said, right? And the carrots, they had big old carrots. I mean, it looked good. That's probably one of the ones I'm going to get the next time I visit them. Anyway, we had a good dinner, but something came up, and y'all know how the Lord deals with me, and I've been thinking about it. And then I just finished up one of my classes. I did theology 2. I got an A-. I did good in it. I thoroughly love that class. I'm in a class now that's dealing with mission work in the Christianity as part of I'm a theology major. So, so there was something that came up, and what's come up to me when we had our discussion, my brother was talking. So my brother has his doctorate. Both of my two younger brothers, they went to predominantly white schools all their life, okay? That is something that my biological mother did. She pretty much had kept them in predominantly white schools. And he made the comment, because he went to a predominantly Christian school, which I know was most likely white. He said, well, I finally went to a public school that gave him a little bit more diversity. And and I kind of stopped him. I should have probably let him finish. God forgive me, but it's okay, because I chimed in on something, but there's a reason I chimed in on it. And I'm going to ask him later when I see him again, because I do want some more feedback. But we're going to talk about education in a minute. and discrimination in the education area. Oh, thank you, Tanya. Yeah, he got his doctorate from Arizona State University a couple weeks ago. So, um, Chris is very smart, but he has a hell of a personality. He had it since he was a little boy. He used to tell jokes. We couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. We could get the fact he say our name, but his words were all jumbled, and he would say whatever he knew he was saying in his head and would laugh at his own jokes. Hell of a personality. The dude is funny. He'd been like that even when you didn't understand him. He was just funny because of his actions. Chris is a fool. He funny. And his wife is sarcastic too. I was like, oh, you're a winner. Because I love somebody who's nice but got that sarcasm. You're a winner. If you watch it, you're a winner. Because I like sarcasm. I just do. And I like a little sarcasm. Well, I can be nasty sarcastic, so I have to watch it because I'm very sarcastic. But very sarcastic. And my sister-in-law's white, so, but Monty people, child, I got a whole rainbow coalition. On Monty's side, we ain't missed race. We got Asian, African, Mexican. Hell, I don't know if we missed the culture. In Monty's side, it's like a big old rainbow. When you say rainbow coalition, that's our family on Monty's side. The Lewis side, I don't know about all of them because they only got so many people. But anyway, so I like his wife. Now my other brother, I met his wife. She's half Latino and black. She had a lot of attitude. I liked her for only this reason. I don't like wimpy females, and she was not wimpy. So she got a smart mouth though, and I was first time meeting her because I can pop off too, and I'll pop off nasty. So and I'll pop off. You have to leave her in her casket, where the other person in the casket come over and then I cuss you out, and then I go back in the casket. And me and Jesus have to talk, and I have to say, Lord, forgive me and repent. So I try not to let people open the casket. I was very good, and that's why I try to avoid drama. Anyway, y'all, let's get back to it. So it came up about education in school, and everybody was talking about it. So Chris said that he went to a Christian college, and he said that, our Christian high school, and he said when I got out of that madness, and I kind of stopped him. So my biological mother, as I said, we don't really interact. And there's only a few things I will give her. So Chris and my brother Anthony, those two never ever went to predominantly black schools. I did. So I grew up on both sides of the track. And I tell people that, meaning that I did go to predominantly black schools and I went to predominantly white schools because my mother tried to keep me in that. And I'm going to say this and talk about education, because I think our education system in America is the most discriminatory piece of crap ever. Okay, and I can tell you why, going to both types of schools. Me and my best friend, we talked about it because I was telling her a little bit about the conversation at the table and how things went with me and my brother. And I was telling her about this education piece, and she said, I agree with him. And I said, listen to what I'm going to say, because she also went to predominantly white schools, except for her Catholic school in PA, in Philadelphia. There was a lot of African Americans there, but again, it's going to be a different educational standard. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So when I grew up, like I said, there's a 9-year difference between me and one brother, 10-year difference between me and Chris, the one I met. And they did not have to go to predominantly black schools, but I did. And pretty much she kept me in and out of predominantly white schools, because when she put me in the white school near her job, if the state found out, they would say, hey, you're either going to have to, your taxes are going to go to the black school, basically, and say it like that, but that's what it is. And you're going to have to pay for this other public school you have her in as private. So then I have to transfer back to the black school until we either moved or she gives a different address, okay? So for several years, I was in predominantly black schools. Here's one of the things I can tell you. In predominantly black schools, I was an A+ student. In white school, I was a CD student. What's the difference? Okay, what's the difference? And I'm telling you as somebody who experienced it. The difference is the standards of education are different. The quality of material are different. And the money going into the schools are different. Therefore, you're getting a better quality of education. When my brother said it, I said, the one thing I will give our crazy butt mother is that is the only thing I think was a plus. Now, some people will say, well, that's jacked. And my best friend, she says, well, she said, if I had a kid, I want my kid going to a diverse school. Absolutely, if you can. But the problem is, depending on where you're economically at living, is depending on what kind of schools you're going to get. Point blank, period. Here in Arizona, we have a school called South Mountain High School. They do something called a Magnum program. And what that's supposed to do is take this urban school and bring it up to a higher standard to provide other ethnic opportunities to this school. But then what they do is they bust their children into that school to take those classes. So some of the students that are there, a good majority of them, won't even be able to be part of the Magnum program. So then it's white students or people from privileged areas that are part of the program. Education to me in general for the public schools is discriminatory. Point blank, period. And to me, what you should do, which is what I didn't really get into this conversation with my brother about, and I understand where he's at, but because he did not experience the difference in a black school and a white school, he thinks he missed out on something. Yes and no, okay? What you didn't miss out on is you not, like, no offense, some of these ghetto brothers that we got out here, that they go into these jobs, and unfortunately, white males are intimidated by black men. Point blank, period. If you're a black male, they normally intimidated by you. Point blank, period. But because my brothers do not, A, sound black, neither one of them sound like black guys. If you talk to my brother and you not see him, you would think you were talking to a white man. Neither one of them. Both of them sound white because they grew up in predominantly white schools. However, this also affords them a different opportunity, good, bad, or indifferent. There's a reason why they've done well educational-wise and job-wise. There's a reason why they're more accepted in a white community, good, bad, or indifferent. There's a reason why I got into a program in high school. My friend Joe said, I didn't go to a high school like yours. He's Latino. He said, we didn't have the stuff you're telling me you had at your high school. Absolutely not. My school was mainly Mormon. Okay? You could count the number of blacks and Latinos on your hands and feet at my school. Matter of fact, Joe and I were out in Tempe. I had not seen this girl. I went to school. I still remember her name was Laura Gomez, Gomez, right? When Joe met her, he didn't even know she was Latino, and he's Latino. And I said, Shannon. And she remembered my name, hugged me. We went to high school. Why? Because we do not carry ourselves in that way. Is that bad? No, I'm not going to say it's bad or good. What I'm trying to say is it gives you a hand up in the corporate world. And it gives you a hand up in the world. This thing right here, it blocks us on so many levels. Am I ashamed of being black? Hell no. But I also know that there's certain aspects of who we are that when we go into that corporate job, it screws us. Because culturally, we can't be truly who we are because it's not us in charge. It's white males in charge. It's the same way that white females have to come to a certain level when they go into a corporate arena. It's the same way that, no offense, Latino people do better than black people in corporate jobs. The lighter the skin, the better you do. But also the way that we speak, the way that we act has a huge impact on where we go in most companies. When I was at this little night job and that girl was talking to me crazy, one of the ladies, even though she did it in a very roundabout way, you know what she told me? I carried myself in a manner that made them think as if I was better than. No, you want me to come up in there being a ninja because you have preconceived notions of what a black person should be. This is why when I speak, and the guy interviewed me and he was Latino, he says it's refreshing to have somebody who communicates. I've had white people tell me, oh, you're very articulate. What that tells me is you're telling me you already expect that because of my skin color, you don't expect me to speak properly, which would have been true from the black school districts. When I first went to white school districts, it was a sister who put me up on some game, and I didn't know. It was a girl that I knew, and she's one of my little girlfriends back in the day. Her name was Angel. Angel's stopped. We were in junior high, and I was at this white school in Tempe, and I didn't know because it translated from the black school because we talked different. We talked Ebonics. I didn't say store. I said stove. I didn't say four. I said foe. I didn't know until she said, why do you say stove, mo, and foe? It's store, more, and four. I did not realize because the cultural differences were there. And there was no correction in the schools because it's urban, it's black, and we're not going to correct you. So you knew. One of the worst things is some of the names that these twins, our hood sisters, made up for these kids. Kwani and and Shaniqua, you knew that these names were black people. So when this person goes and fills out an application, unfortunately, it hurts them because you already know. Okay? Point blank period. You know what you're getting. One of the ladies who was a manager, my supervisor out in Lubbock, she calls me her mentor because I have more background in that anyway than her. Sweet girl. Her name is, what's her name? Sharonda. She said, I wish my name was something different because she realizes corporately how it has impacted her. Okay. The way my brothers talk, the way they carry themselves, even though I'm sure it was not comfortable in predominantly white schools. I think I was pretty much a loner in most of my white schools, but I'm kind of a loner in general because I had so much weirdness going on growing up. My brothers have done well because white males, they speak like them. They talk like them. In some cases, they act like them. Even though their skin is dark, therefore they're comfortable with them because they're a little more refined. Do my brothers not think they're black? No, they know they're black. They both know they're black. They understand that. But what they don't know, because they didn't go on both sides of the track. I went to predominantly black schools. I know the derogatory part of it. I know the lack in education on it. Here is my solution, which we didn't get to talk about. And y'all can chime in here in a minute because it's been something on my mind. And I'm get to the out of bad comes good in a minute. Here's my view on education. The educational system in America is racist as hell, and it's fundamentally unfair. And even after segregation, and God bless them for those people who got bussed in as black people and had to go to predominantly white people and be spit on and cussed at, because what I went through was nothing in comparison to what they did to break that divide, okay? If we truly wanted the educational system to be fair, here's what would happen. Here's the state of Arizona. This is how much unless it's a poor state. And I'm going to deal with that too, because I might do it as a collective over the whole country. But I'm just going to do it by state. But I think it probably could be over the U.S. Here are the taxes that come in. And here's the allocation of taxes that go to the school systems. I think it should be spread out equally among all the schools, regardless of if you live in Scottsdale, where you got multimillionaires, or you in the hood making $5 an hour. Because why is a child suffering at getting a decent education based on their parents' economic condition? And in reality, not all white people, but quite a few, you've had a leg up from the beginning. We didn't ask to be brought over here in most cases. You brought us over here. There's other people who later escaped here because of better opportunities. But for whatever reason and however they ended up here, we need to make it fair. And a child should not be punished because their parent may not make the money that the multimillionaire family does. So let's give everybody the same standard of education. And then let's see who's made of what. At the end of it, the talents are going to come to the table. And it's fair. So that in the hood, I should be able to move from the hood to Tempe, for example, go to a middle class school and not miss an educational beat. It should not be a difference. If I move from the fourth grade at one, I should go into the fourth grade over here, and the standard of education is exactly the same, unless you're in a special program because you're gifted. And then we do need to deal with those kids who may have a different learning level. So sometimes people are smarter than others. Maybe their IQ is better. We need to address that too, but make the money equal. That way, you don't have somebody who was doing what my biological mother was doing in order for her kids to try to get a better education, get them in predominantly white schools, which is what she was trying to do. Now, I didn't share this with my brother, but I've kind of assessed because there was a lot of dysfunction in my mother's family. My aunt, my mother's sister, is an educator. This was something my grandmother, she did other stuff, but later on when she was having health issues, she was a teacher's aide. I believe my grandmother's dream, and this was the job that a lot of people looked to back in that time frame because it was a job that had clout. was to be a teacher, educated, intelligent, smart. Okay. I believe my grandmother pushed that agenda towards her children, and especially her favorite child, which was my aunt. And my mother's probably a little bit of the jealousy behind it. My mother still had that underlying tone of it. And when she had children, her goal was, I want my kids to have a good education. And she probably, in some form or fashion, realized, because I know with me, she tried to keep me in the predominantly white schools early on, even before she was married and had my brothers. Why? Because in her mind, I believe the educational standards were better. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a product of it. I can tell you there was a difference. I can tell you from the schools that I went to in black schools, I didn't take homework home. I was an A+ student. I got to white schools, I got books, I'm struggling, I'm a CD student. But also, I didn't get a college education right off because of all the other issues going on. Y'all see I got the sun here. Well, it's going to just be what it's going to be. Because I was struggling in school. So I didn't go to college. I mean, I took classes and I thought I want to be a pre-med student. I want to be a doctor. That was my whole thing. And I'm talking about a medical doctor. I want to be a heart surgeon. That was my dream job. But I had a lot going on. And then I had also ended up in a program, praise God, that was the cooperative office education that gave me my foot up into my resume is good. I mean, for the most part, with the exception of a lot of short jobs once I got into trucking. But my resume, I've worked for some major Fortune 500, 100 companies. And some of them even trained me for roles that I wasn't educated for. And I believe it's because I carried myself differently, how I spoke, because of being in predominantly white schools. I didn't talk. Not that I can't. I'll go ninjas in a minute. But I spoke differently. Even at work, my Latino people on my team, because I think am I the only chocolate chip? Yeah, I'm the only chocolate. Well, no, there's a new chocolate chip, but I'm the only chocolate chip. I was the only chocolate chip on my team. And most of my team is Latino. So when even in my class, they were like, Shannon, they call me Shannon. Shannon, you really smart. They don't know if I'm smart or not. What it is they listen to how I speak. And they think that how I speak and how I talk to people, and they'll come say, Shannon, how do I say this to this person? Because they'll ask me how to say things. That doesn't come from the black school districts. It came from a white one. And it came because you have to learn to speak like them. There's a reason our people were in the dirt learning to read and write from slavery, because they knew that equaled the playing field. For some people, they may take that and they may take what I'm saying and be like, so when I said that, I didn't get to explain it, but I started thinking of it. And then me and my best friend talked, and she's like, well, I wouldn't want because my other brother, he wanted to take that's why he moved to Texas. He wanted his kids to grow up more diverse, because our mother did keep us mainly around white folks. And it was, I think for her, she saw the lack in the educational standard. And she's absolutely right. I'm not trying to not knock black folks. One of the mothers of my former church, she was superintendent of school of one of the biggest black schools here in Arizona that I went to. And she got a little pissed off when she did meet my mother, and my mother basically said, I saw a difference. And I said, my Bert, I saw a difference too. I was a student. So if I'm the person in the school districts, in the black school district, no homework home, I'm done with my homework. It was so easy. A+ student. But I also see the difference of what happens when a lot of those people graduate from those types of schools and their life goes nowhere and they struggle. Unless they get that second level of education, they struggle. My cousin Donna, when she graduated from a black school. One of them that was a Magnum program. And I tell you, I believe that's the only reason she's done as well as she did. She ended up getting a degree at Arizona State. That's the one I told you was with the buddy Michael. She got her degree from Arizona State. She's done well. But I really believe the Magnum program, which she luckily enough was a part of, and the fact that she did go ahead and finish second. But otherwise, I don't know that because a lot of people she went to high school, they didn't do that. And coming out of the black high schools. But do I fault the high schools? Do I fault the schools? No, I fault the system. It's unfair. it's racist in a sense, and it's not only racist. It's not only a racial issue. It's a class issue. So if you're not in a certain class of people, it's a class issue too. It's twofold. It's racial and class. You're not. That's why I think the money should be taken up, put into a thing, and spread out among. And actually, I'm gonna say about among the country, because if you think about cities or states like Mississippi, Alabama, where they may not have that income level, again, why do we punish? Because what we're doing is producing people that are repeating the same cycle because they're not getting a break. And even though I've struggled, honestly, I have been very blessed in conjunction to other people who would be in my position. Um, and like I said, I got chose for a program in high school I didn't even expect. Mayor's wife. That opened the door for me, and I ended up working at the city in which her husband was on the top floor. For the city of Tempe Building Safety Department was my first job. I think there's some money goes from that, but mainly your state taxes that people pay in their cities. So normally, how it works, if you research education, what happens is the taxes come up, whatever taxes you get paid, then based on depending, it could be one of two ways. Depending on the district that from the taxes in that area, they'll allocate funds to the school, but they only allocate based on what's made in that community. So if you have a poor community, a poor African American community or Latino community, as Joe said, he said, my high school wasn't like yours. I went to Tempe High. Tempe is a money city. It's a college town. It's got money coming in from the college. It had a lot of educators there, a lot of professionals. Tempe has a lot of tech companies, major money. Semiconductor industry was in Tempe. Tempe had Intel was in Tempe back when the Intel chip, they made that in Tempe. All that's right there. Money, Motorola, major corporations. When I worked for Chase Bank's sitting right down in the middle of downtown Tempe. Major corporations, plus you had the university down there. So obviously all the professors, that's massive money. They didn't start having the Phoenix one until later, until like 30s or 40s when they built this one, the campuses for Phoenix. Tempe was the city here in the central Phoenix area that was a college town. Everything else was either Tucson or Northup and Flag. So, but Tempe was a money city. It's a moolah money. It's landlocked right now. If you try to get anything in Tempe, you'd have to buy an old house. And some of the houses, they're in the millions because of the location. It's money. Money and the Mormons. Money. Okay? I'm not going to say it now because it's a little different. There's some things that are different. Because the school I went to, they then did they tried to integrate in a section of Phoenix, I think, to make our school more diverse. And then here's my other problem. Black folk, I need to talk to y'all. When you want your kids to do better, make them do better. You don't just send them into a school and let them still be hood. And that's unfortunately what happened in my high school. We got a bunch of hood people and they stayed hood. They couldn't come out. It's like they were saying, you can bring the child out the ghetto, but you can't bring the ghetto out the child. You can, but the parent need to get up in that butt. That's what needs to happen. But the education system, that's one thing. And the other thing they've been doing is and another way of they're justifying the money without dealing with the racist part, is they're saying, and me and my best friend talked about that, in Florida, for example, where she's at, they're doing it based on test scores, on how they allocate the money. Well, let me ask you a question. This goes back to the same situation I just mentioned. If the major money is going to the predominant schools where the money is made, and they're going to have better educational standards, better equipment, better teachers, better books, better all of that, okay? So the major money is going there. Who do you think is going to test the best? Come on. It's still, it's a moot, what's the word I want? It's a smoke screen. You're trying to justify the same issue. It's still a classist and discriminatory issue, and you're still justifying it. Anyway, this is what I also wanted to say. When my brother brought that up, and I looked at, because like I told you who my biological mother is. That's the only thing I can give her plus for. Well, one of the major things I can give her plus for. And I don't know that she did it knowingly, but I'm going to say this. Out of bad can come good. I'm not going to say does come good. All of us can go through things. So even, it's like my best friend says, with some of the situations, sexual abuse, all that, and the abuse that I dealt with in my house with my biological mother, she said, Shannon, it's a blessing. You're not sitting somewhere rocking back and forth, punching walls. You're not a stripper. You're not a drug addict, because that could have been a route that I could have went. Like I said, I believe God had his hand over my life, so that is not the route that I went. You look at people, biblical story of Joseph, where his brothers hated him so much, basically threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery, and all the stuff that he went through. We lucky Joseph wasn't violent. We lucky he didn't walk in there and blow his brothers away. But out of bad can come good. I'm not going to say does come good, because that's not always the situation. Sometimes out of bad comes bad and worse, okay? So out of bad can come some good. And in this situation, while I don't know if my brother really saw it, where he's at, and again, he's more educated than I am in the degree field, but where he's at, and I'm gonna go on my experience, background, and my age, I believe that he is there because out of the bad of the madness of who she was, and out of the damage probably that prompted her to do and to keep us in predominantly white schools, he and the other brother, and I'm going to say even myself in an offshoot way, have all done well in the sense of corporate, being able to get in the corporate arena. Even how I interact with people that aren't, I can interact with anybody. So I can interact with white, black, whatever. I can interact with anybody. I can sit down and communicate with anybody. What kills me is when I meet white people and they go, and they do this. They're like, when I start talking, you're very articulate. And they look confused. When I went for counseling when I was a teenager, due to everything going on, and the social worker at school, I had free counseling through some community program in Tempe. And the man met me, and when I opened my mouth, that white man was so discomforted. He's like, you're really good at communication. I mean, just like shocked, because I'm chocolate. Because they want me to say stole mo and folk. You know, I go to the store and that's what they want you to do. They want you to be ghetto in your conversation. They want you to use ebonics because that's what they expect, because that's what they've gotten. And I'm not trying to knock people, but there's a reason we were in the fields, writing names and learning. We have to learn in order to, unfortunately, this world is not run by us. And what's going on now with even this new generation of folks, they're trying to make it like it's for them, and they want to be ratchet, and they want the world to come to their ratchetness. It's like, and I said this to Joe, I go to the laundry and I see our children, Latino black children, acting a plumb behind fools, jumping on windows, bang. And I was like, and Joe says, he's like, well, their kids do it. I said, we're not supposed to be their kids. We're supposed to do better. What we do is learn from them and how to be better. We don't, they might allow their kids to do that, but here we held a higher standard. We carried ourselves a better way. Now we're saying, okay, you got to accept my ratchetness. No, ma'am, no, sir. No, ma'am, no, sir. Out of bad should come good. We want to do better. We want to be better. Why? Because we should just want to. And so even though our biological parent, and even though my brothers probably put up, I don't even know if they might have put up with discriminatory behavior in their Christian school, you know what? Out of all that madness, you guys took from it and did something good with it. So it did work in your favor. Try to use this as an example. Let's try to use this as an example. And I'm trying to think of a good example to use. I can only think of the story of Joseph right now. And I'm trying to think of like something. Trucking. I can use my trucking. For my truckers, y'all enjoy this. When I was training for trucking, I started with a company called Werner Horrible. And matter of fact, one of the teachers at my trucking school, she was like, I would rethink that. She couldn't really tell me that Werner had issues with this, and they had issues with females. So it was kind of redneck, right? That's what she didn't want to say that, but that's what she wanted. She's a white lady. And when I left, she kind of told me on the side why she was trying to push me to Swift. because she knew I wasn't going to experience that at Swift because her and her husband had trained for Swift. And anyway, but she also knew truckers that came from Werner. So when I was with Werner, the trainers I had, all except for the last lady, she was okay, but still horrible in other ways. But each trainer, even though they were bad, what I did was I pulled something good from each one. Okay. So out of a bad experience, you can possibly get something good in most cases if you so choose to. Okay. So, like the first trainer I had, who I could tell he was real special. I don't even know what nationality he was. He wasn't white, but he tried to act like he was. And he basically had a rule that you didn't take your shoes into the bunk. He was a horrible trainer, but that is something I used on my truck, which made absolute sense to me. The second trainer I had, I forgot what he did. It was something he did, and I can't remember, but I incorporated things from each trainer that I thought were good things to incorporate on my truck. Then when you have a great trainer, like the last one I had that did my refresher trainer, that Trainer Bill guy, not Trucker Bill, but Trainer Bill at Swift, he had a lot of good things. So I incorporated all of that. But when you have a bad trainer, you can still take something good out of it. Okay? It just depends. Even bad companies, you can take something, okay, what do you, there had to be something decent. There had to be something that's logical. This ghetto company I just came from, there's some couple of methods that if I ever end up back in management, I'm going to incorporate because it actually can be used in a good way. They might have used it in a bad way, but it has a purpose that it can be used in a positive format. Out of bad can come good. Out of dealing with my crazy biological mother, the educational, to me, even though it might have been hard for some, me, I was kind of a loner. Like I said, I've been kind of a loner pretty much all the time anyway. There was some good that came out of it. And the few good things is I can interact with any kind of person. I am articulate, and that's okay, but I can go hood in a minute on you. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So, I have those capabilities. It just depends. And so I have learned that out of bad can come good. My situation growing up wasn't great. And it's just like I had one young lady who's really been reaching out to me a little bit. Matter of fact, when I get off here, I'm gonna reach out to her. She was going through depression. Father's died. He was a drug addict. She was adopted by grandparents. There was a molest that happened with an uncle. There's a whole bunch, okay? She had prison time due to hanging out with cousins and some other stuff. She bought a cancer. She got her trucking license. She had a private trucking business for a while. She's bought a house. Out of all the bad that baby went through, there's still some good. Because it speaks volumes that you got out of prison. And I mean, she did some time. And you done bought a house. You ran a trucking business on your own as an owner-op. Made good money to buy the house. You got a car. Her property's very nice. You still making money. You still surviving. You still living. You got a job. And what you went to prison for, most people might not be able to do what you're doing. Now, I don't know all the background. Supposedly she didn't do it. She was with a family member and got caught up. I don't know. But regardless, you got your right mind. You done been through molest and some other stuff. You've been through abuses. You come from a drug addict daddy. Your mama died when you was young. That's a lot of bad stuff. But out of all that bad can still come good. Depends on the perspective you have and what you do with it. You can either lay down and put needles in your arm and keep doing the drugs and the craziness, or you can not. For me, I believe the Lord has had his hand on my life. And that's the only reason I am where I'm at and not rocking back and forth in a room somewhere. Not drugged up. Not a hoe. Not 20 kids all over the place. how you see the situation and when you step back and the truth of the situations. Most people, they just keep going in the treadmill and they don't look at the truth of the situation. I can tell people around me depressed. Okay, because you're not sitting down and dealing with your generational curses. Your daddy was crazy. Your daddy's people is crazy. You're going to have to come to the point, God, break the generational curses off me and show me me. Once that happens, then let God start working on your stuff. And trust me, if you open like that, he will. He will. I ain't going to say you're going to be perfect. I'm fat as hell still. But there's some internal stuff that God done did. Y'all have no idea. The temper thing that runs on Monty's side, look, I keep that chick in her kennel. I'm like, God, keep her in a kennel in her casket. I'm crucified with Christ. Amen. And hallelujah. And let's keep it that way. Because that chick, cuckoo. Anyway, let me go back, see what y'all saying. Oh, let's see. Thank you for the birthday wishes. That's Monday. We hit 50. Oh, I forgot to ask for my senior discount tonight. I'm senior, y'all. I have them laughing at my job. And they were really nice. They got me, my team is mainly Latino, and one of the ladies there, she got me some mini chimichangas. I'm usually not a fan, but those were good. And the salsa, that salsa was, I told her, I said, girl, I can take a bath in this salsa. Give me a straw. That salsa was so doggone, I got to find out where the place is. That salsa was jamming. And so mini chimichangas, cupcakes, it was really nice. And then today we did pasta and stuff like that. I am supposed to be making a seafood stew. I still not made it. I got tons. I got crab legs. I got lobster tails. I got tons of shrimp in my freezer. And I even got the sausage. And I still ain't made this yet. Anyway, I'm going to work on it. I think this weekend is what we're going to do. Y'all, I got to go to the bathroom. I think we're almost done here. I hope y'all, we 81 minutes and 40 seconds. I hope y'all blessed. And like I said, you know, I don't know because I know I had Mandisa on here who was going through some stuff. And I know people may watch this later. Later you watch this, make sure you give us a like, thumbs up, share it out to people who need it. Make it for the 4th. Girl, and I'm off on the 4th, but I work Monday, then I'm off. So, and if I get the car and everything right, Shannon gonna take a little ride because I miss driving. And with Old Man Red, I haven't been able to drive, but I might take me a mountain drive because I love driving. And so I used to drive. I don't know if I can walk it now. Y'all be praying for breathing too. I might be joining the gym. We'll talk about that later too. But I just need to ride it. Right now I need to ride a bike and swim. Have I been to Moab? I don't know if I've been to Moab. It's been a while. I think I have been through it. Remember, I'm here in Arizona, but I might. But I usually like going up north to like Sedona. We used to go to Jerome, and there's wineries here. So it's summer, and I don't know. It depends on what my money is. I might do like the wine tasting. And I actually got to know one of the, when I go to places, sometimes I get to know owners. They'll just come out, I don't know if it's because I'm fat or if it's just a thing. The owners or the chefs will come out and just start talking to me. But the owner of one of the wineries here in Arizona, we went up there a couple times. She's like, you come back again. And I went with 2 different people, and she remembered me. Obviously, I'm chocolate chip and I'm a little heavy, not as heavy as I am now. But she remembered me, and next thing she's like, well, you know, she want to be part of wine club, and let me take you to the back room and show you the winery, show me the wine room, and took us on a tour. And then I gave her a recipe that they want to try called a Salvi turkey. She's like, I'm going to try that. And so there's been years. I'm sure she still owns it. She's from California. She went in with partners, and they bought land up in, what's the name of that place? Oh, McCain and his family had property up there. Cornville, Arizona. So, yeah. And I was trying to talk to the kids at work because my little supervisor, she like, I say, I only like white wine because I don't like where. I said, you don't know wine. I said, and I had to learn that young too. I said, wines range from red and white. I like red wines. I like white wines. My favorite red wine is any kind of Malbec that's a good Malbec. I like really smoky reds. I do not like dry wines at all. I don't care if they're white or red. I'm not a dry wine person. It needs to be middle or it needs to be sweet. It's going to have to go from the middle range to sweet. I don't want dry. But yeah. Anyway, y'all, let me get off here because I got to go potty. Peace, joy, happiness, 2 and 2. I will holler at y'all maybe next week or the week after. If I get the car, we might go for a drive. Who knows? Peace.